A Monday tradition like none other. It is Inside LAFC Podcast Live, 12:30 Pacific Time. Hello, East Coast. Hello, global audience. 12:30 Pacific Time every Monday here on LAFC YouTube and LAFC Facebook. We want to remind you all that it's very important to help our podcast for you to like and subscribe. So you see those buttons down there, like it, subscribe, leave a comment. Already some comments there. You can leave a comment after we're not live. We will answer them later. There was a question last week. Someone asked me, I forgot the name, when the next bobblehead is going to be out. I don't know. I put some feelers out. We don't know yet, so it's not in the works. I am Max Bretos. There is Benny Feilhaber. People are filling the comment section. How are we doing, Benny?
We're doing good. Hey, we cannot not mention the fact that LAFC had one of their best performances of the year. And who was calling the game?
Me.
The main man.
And if you want to see it again, or if you didn't see it and you don't have Apple TV, you should get Apple TV. It's 30% off right now. You can see it on LAFC Encore at 5:30 on Fox 11 Plus, formerly KCOP Channel 13. So tomorrow, 5:30, preceded at 5 by LAFC Weekly. You get a 3-hour block of LAFC programming and the game from pillar to post. And this is a game you want to watch again, right, Benny?
Yeah, these games, they haven't been all perfect, but this one was close to it. I mean, that first half was fun to watch. So, yeah, I would advise anybody that didn't get a chance to watch the game on the weekend to go back and watch it on the Tuesday broadcast.
Comments rolling in already. Juan Vargas was first. Juan, he is a social media machine. Juice 323. We're going to talk about Timothy Tillman. What a performance, because he doesn't get enough credit. He was brilliant, and I think he gets on the radar for the U.S. men's national team for this summer with that, if he keeps playing like this. As does Mark Delgado. I don't know. That's a long shot, but Mark Delgado, I want to get there as well. Leave a comment. This is your program. So if you have any questions, Benny has the answers. As you've joined us in the past, or if you're new, welcome. Benny will have an answer. And if he doesn't have an answer, he'll make up something really interesting to make it sound like he has the answer.
I will always have an answer. Whether it's right, no one knows.
Well, let's get it. This is a feel-good show. This is a feel-good show as LAFC, who had some issues in the month of March, a little bit into April. They are now unbeaten in their last 4 thanks to a victory over the Houston Dynamo 2-0. Significant because they score a goal. They hadn't scored a goal in a regular season game against the Dynamo since September of 2022. And it had been 5 games since they won. So it's always a challenge. And not only did they meet that challenge, Benny, but they did so convincingly. Steve Trundolo was thrilled. You could see him glowing about the performance, offense and defense. I don't want to get into if it was the best performance of the season, because there's been a couple like that. I think the Columbus game, the Miami game, but this one on the MLS certainly up near the top of the list.
Well, if you look at the first half as well, Max, right? I mean, I'm not even going to get into the second half yet. Let's focus on the first half, because we've talked about slow starts and the inability to translate opportunities, creation into goals. That first half was as close to perfect as a team could have been. And after dealing with some, difficulties, adversity, they were able to match, I think, exactly what we've been talking about. And I think Steve Trundle has been preaching, that balance between the attack and the ability to create, and not only create chances, but turn those into goals, but also the compactness, the intensity at which the team defended. And that was for 90 minutes, right? Not only just the 45, but the intensity. I mean, every time the ball came in between the lines, it was, pressure from both sides. The back press from the front line, the front press, I guess, from the Igor Jesus's, the Timothy Tillmans, the Mark Delgados, even the back line, right? I mean, Eddie Segura was called for, I think, 5 fouls in the middle of the field because he's so advanced and willing to, put his body on the line. So I think it was very, very difficult for the Houston Dynamo to have possession of the ball in dangerous areas, create advanced opportunities. I don't think they had a shot on goal. And the only dangerous chance I remember them getting was a cross in the second half from our right side in swinger that there was a deflected header out for a goal kick. They kind of misheaded it. But other than that, we saw next to nothing. And so it was an extremely balanced performance. And if we want to be nitpicky in that first half, we got to probably score another one, right? Denny Bouanga had a couple of chances where he just picks the pocket of the defender and turns the defense into really quick attack. But near perfect first half there.
There was no shot on goal, as you pointed. And the quick start, what was it, like 8 minutes in? That was the first time, other than the Aaron Long goal in that CONCACAF Champions Cup. But this is the first time in the league, and it led to LAFC able to dictate this game from minute 0 to minute 90.
And Max, let me interject real quick, because that goal, I want to talk about that goal real quickly. We've made a point on this show to talk about the overlapping runs of the outside backs, and we haven't seen it nearly enough from Sergi Palencia's side. Ryan Hollingshead goes.
This is the Ordaz goal, correct?
Correct. Difficult for Hollingshead to get overlapping runs with the speedy Bouanga on the left side, but on the right side is what we've been hoping for, and we saw it, right? We saw the ability of a really good Eddie Segura ball out of the back that led into a break that now I think it was David Martinez is free flowing on the right side. Sergi Palencia gets around him. The one-time pass to Sergi Palencia, the one-time cross from Sergi Palencia, and Nathan Ordaz obviously making that run and poking it home. And so that's what we want to see. Those are the chances that you're going to create if you're able to get those overlapping runs from the outside back. So really, really good sign for LAFC.
Matt Doyle does a great job covering MLS. If you don't follow him on social media, I highly recommend you to do it. He showed the entire passing sequence of that Ordaz goal, 19 passes, and it went around and back. And then Eddie Segura puts his great ball because they passed Houston to death. Tillman wide open. Tillman involved in that goal. Tillman put the ball to Bouanga on the second goal. So he gets an assist on that second one. And then we see the overlap by Palencia, Martinez involved, and Ordaz at the end of it. Exceptional. Steve Cherundolo always talks about a week training, and we're like, yeah. This has to be the result of back-to-back full weeks of training, no?
Well, there's no doubt about it that it impacts it, right? It doesn't necessarily mean after a full week of training you're going to get a fantastic performance, but it helps. It's one of the pieces, one of the ingredients, so to speak, of getting a good performance, and we saw that, and they've had a couple of weeks now to train, and that's one of the challenges when you're in multiple competitions. Can you do it with short rest, with smaller weeks of training, less ability to get out there and really be on the same page as a team? So obviously now we're seeing that the ability of a coach and players to kind of understand what we want to do. And I mean, it was the perfect balance. There's some things that I'd love to talk about in the second half that I'd like to see a little bit more of, but in the first half, it was really close to perfect.
This is Inside LAFC podcast. We're live on LAFC YouTube and Facebook. Where are my Facebook peeps at? Get in the comment section. Let's get into the comment section now because people are pumping here. Jonathan 18. Let's go. Another week of Inside LAFC podcast from the 42 originals. We love them. They do a wonderful job. Let's all laugh at the Galaxy for the historic loss. Look, Benny's already laughing.
Well, I was watching that game intently, so I was also, chuckling along.
The whatever you want to call it, the Clásico Angelino, the Tráfico is coming up. Benny has a stat about the Galaxy. We'll wait for it. So there's a little tease for you. Bonifer, I saw Max walk by in the field club on Saturday. Woohoo! I like to walk to a field club. It makes me feel good. Craig Griffin said 17. Does that mean you're the 17th in? I don't know. Speak about Delgado's reaction when he was subbed off. I missed it. That. What was it?
I think he's disappointed to come off. I thought, he's had a really good performance and you're subbed off. You want to play the rest of the game. I think he's an extremely professional player. I don't think anybody would be disappointed in the reaction from the coaching staff. Next game he plays, he's going to play in the same exact fashion that he always does. So I'm okay with him being disappointed that he's the one being subbed out. I thought him and Tillman and Igor Jesus were fantastic. And my guess is Steve Cherundolo is making a change there for legs, for also keeping the cohesion of the entire team. You want to put guys off the bench into the game so that they feel like they're part of the group as well. You probably want to see a little bit of what Frankie Amaya can bring into the game. So Nothing to really look into it. I've been plenty of times disappointed when you get subbed off. At the end of the game, you win and you're over it.
A reminder to like and subscribe. Hit the like button, subscribe, and leave your comments. So let's continue to go through here before we change the subject. Some folks asking about a Thomas Mueller report. We don't know anything. I would take all of that with a grain of salt, but I would prepare for LAFC to make a big splash in the summer of some kind. We shall see. And I think it'll be calibrated to what they need the most. Is it a midfielder? Is it a forward? Is it a full? Whatever it is, I think they're going to look for those pieces because everything is there. And to finish your thought about Delgado, you got to get Frankie Amaya in there because you need a fourth midfielder. You need a guy that you can incorporate because you have a couple midweek games coming in. The schedule with Leagues Cup, et cetera, is going to fill out. You need a guy that you got to start thinking about starting Frankie at some point. So you got to get him some minutes here, no?
Yeah, I just don't think that it's a smart sub no matter how you think of it, right? And whether he starts, a game in a week or in 2 weeks or whatever, I think it's important to get Frankie Amaya situated. And so in that moment, for whatever reason, Steve Cherundolo decided that, Mark Delgado was the choice over Timothy Tillman. I think it's one of those two that you probably have to bring off if you're going to put Amaya in there. And yeah, I agree with you. I think at some point he's going to have to play some minutes and take a load off of all these guys in the midfield.
Roman, I think this is our first time I've seen you with the comment, Roman. He says, y'all should make some scarves for Aaron Long and Ryan Hollingshead. Aaron Long picked up an injury, had to come out late. Just brave as anything. He's been dealing with something, but he keeps muscling through. He won't get a call up. I think he should, but that's me. I always wave the Aaron Long. And I saw someone else mention a Hollingshead bobblehead. In a few weeks, Ryan Hollingshead's going to be in the top 5 all-time in appearances for LAFC.
Really?
So you got to do something. Yes.
I mean, that's amazing considering how long he was at Dallas. I mean, that's insane. And the guy, I mean, he's a UCLA Bruin. So I have a little love affair with Ryan Hollingshead. I love watching him play. And so I approve the bobblehead. Let's do it.
Frankie's a UCLA guy too. So we're getting a lot of UCLA, which is not a bad thing. Is Under leaving? Again, we don't know. His loan ends in the summer. I think the ball will be in LAFC's court. There's a big buyout for the Turkish club, but maybe something can be arranged if there's not a purchase. But I mean, obviously, he brings a lot. And Jose, forgive me, NLNP. By the way, I saw somebody abbreviate Buwanga, Ordaz, Martinez as BOMB, as the BOMB trio.
TheBomb.com.
TheBomb.com. Juan, new LAFC insider podcast named Guapos FC. That's us. We're good looking. That's right. That's
lights must be dim. I think that's what's going on.
There it is. The bomb. Jose Timothy Tillman. We love it. And then Gomez, have to say it, but it's crazy that the pecking order for strikers is from the cheapest to the most expensive in regard to trusting. Or Daz can be the Jordan Morris for LAFC. Didn't you mention that last week?
I think it was either a comment or we talked about it, but yeah, maybe even you mentioned it, Max, in that sense. But I think we talked about Nathan Ordaz being a guy that, has come through the second team academy, et cetera. And I mean, I told the story, I think, about, me watching him play in the last regular season game against SKC2 when I was coaching them. And he was the best player on the field that day. And so I remember talking to Jordan Harvey and John Thorrington and just telling him what I thought, that this kid's going to be something. And obviously he's starting to turn into that player. He could have an extremely long and successful MLS career. Just his movement, his tenacity, his nose for goal. He checks almost every box that you want, especially in that domestic type of player.
By the way, Jose switched a letter, so he called it the BMO combo. And I think the folks at BMO would love that. Buwanga, Martinez, Ordaz, which I think I want to talk about David in a second, but let's start about Nate Ordaz. Nate the Great. If you do a search on Ordaz on Twitter, which I did, every Salvadorian publication comments on him. They are so excited because he's going to be with El Salvador in all likelihood with the Gold Cup. And this is a breakthrough moment. Remember Fito Zelaya, Salvadorian player, and his shirts were flying off. But he was already embedded in the El Salvadorian team. This is huge for Nate who we the comments you hear about who are the number 9s. Jeremy Bobasi played great, scored immediately. Olivier Giroud didn't get in there, but has been playing better the last few weeks. I would be remiss to think that he wouldn't be in the mix at some point. But this is Nate's job for the foreseeable future, correct?
Well, we talked about it last episode. So, I think Steve was following along our LAFC podcast here and making sure that he took notes because, he started this week and it didn't take too long for him to find the score sheet. I think it's become abundantly clear over the last, 10 games or whatever the season, how many games we've had of this season, that he complements the other players around him better than anybody else, right? You can find a team that Jeremy Bobasi fits the team better. You can find a team that Olivier Giroud fits the team better. But this team right now, Ordaz is the guy, right? His movement in that, it's not even a false 9, but it's a 9 that kind of goes everywhere, right? He starts in the middle, but he shades over to the wing sometimes. He creates 2-on-1s with either of the wingers. He drops inside and helps keep possession. He is mobile. So the other thing that happens is you can't just, the center backs are in charge of the 9, and now we can really hone in on not allowing Denny Bouanga to have any one-on-ones, right? You send an extra guy there, or the other side to David Martinez, or to Under. You can't do that because his movement is dragging people all over the place. And what happens in after that, the consequence is there's spaces all over the field for these other guys to be at their best. And so I think Ordaz has kind of shown that time and time again. I do think it's his position to lose. I don't really think he's going to lose it. And Olivier Giroud and Jeremy Bobasi are going to be guys that are still going to be impactful, mostly off the bench, I think. But obviously with how many games there are in MLS with Leagues Cup and all the games that they've already played, of course, there's going to be games that both of those guys are going to get starts. But I think the majority of the minutes are going to fall to Nathan Ordaz.
Is there things that he does that separates him from the other guys as a non-traditional 9? You see him working the flanks. He can go sideline. What are those things that you see where? Because I was doing the broadcast with Dunny, and he was pointing out about how he creates those overloads. He makes space when they need to. And it just seems like things click better.
Yeah, one guy that kind of reminds me of Ordaz that I played with. Ordaz is slightly more technical, but his movement is very similar to Dom Dwyer. Dom was a jitterbug, right? He was everywhere, and he was a pest for the opponents. And that's what Nathan Ordaz is. He makes runs into the channel, and it drags defenses, further back. So now there's more space in the middle. He comes inside and holds the ball, so then there's space for the speedy wingers to get in behind and run. He connects pretty well. He's not, super technical where it's like little precise passes, but he just gets it done. He's physical. He throws his body around. He's willing to, chase down what most people would call lost causes. And so he is just this guy that energizes the team in so many different ways. And I really do think that the best way to describe it is he ups everyone's level on the field. His ability to run around and be dynamic in the physical aspect of the game, it just allows everybody else to have a little bit more space, a little bit more energy. And he's a guy that allows his teammates to be better. And so I just think that he's going to continue to shine. And look, we don't know what a ceiling is yet either, Max. That's like the biggest thing for me, because he has the ability to score. He has the ability to dribble. And I've seen it at maybe, like I said, I saw him play at the MLS Next Pro level quite a bit last year. And he has the ability to dribble people, take people one-on-one, has the ability to find the corners in the goal. And so I think the more minutes you give this kid, you're going to start seeing his ceiling just kind of go up and up and up. And it'll be fun to watch him this year.
If you're joining us from El Salvador, bienvenidos. Great to have you with us. Your podcast, you can check in on Nate Ordaz if you have a comment or a question. This is Inside LAFC podcast, live every Monday at 12:30. Let's go through some of these. Amaya looks ready. He made a nice jump from the first time we saw him. He looked like obviously not fit, but a nice little jump in fitness and just settling in, being in there a little bit.
Game fitness, the movement. Yeah, exactly. Game fitness. He looked a little bit cleaner on the ball, a little bit more agile. So I think his time is coming.
Nestor says LAFC should have a DP rule, no DP for players over 33. Don't limit who you might be able to get. I'm telling you that now. 33 is the new 23.
I don't know about that, but yeah, maybe 28. 33 is the new 28.
It's young. It's so young. Aaron Long and Ryan Hollingshead are the Secret Service. Love it. And those guys are good buds off the field. Sir Crispy, always so polite. Good afternoon, Mr. Bretos and Mr. Feilhaber. Leave a comment or a question. As you mentioned, the talent around Nate Ordaz, attacking options. And let's kind of go over what they have. I wanted to mention something about David Martinez because I spoke to Steve Cherundolo ahead of the Houston game. And he saw the St. Louis game as the breakout opportunity for David, a chance for him to explode, get a goal, dominate the game. It didn't quite happen. He's a young player, but they're putting a lot on his shoulders. And I know Steve was probably disappointed and probably was considering maybe bringing in Under, which I would not have been surprised. But he comes out and he starts David Martinez. He gives him another chance, which after that conversation filled me with joy because I go, okay, David, take this. He did. I mean, it wasn't overwhelming, but he was involved in Ordaz's goal. I think he was smart with his passing. Everyone was smart. They had a 92 percentile passing accuracy. How did you see David Martinez and his role on that first line? And does he give you that extra edge where he remains the starter for the foreseeable future?
I thought he had a very solid performance. He brought what he can bring, right? His ability off the dribble, especially, and it's a little bit different than Boang on the opposite side, where David Martinez's best dribbles come from the middle third into the final third, right? He opens up the field by being able to, get past someone with pace, and now he has the ability to either cut inside and shoot or find a pass. And I thought he did that really well. One of the best actions of the game, I think it was still 0-0 early on, was one that he broke through from the right side and sprung Denny Boang on the left, and it didn't come to anything. I can't remember exactly what came from it, but it was an exceptional run and pass by David Martinez. And so I do think that he is a kid that, again, he's young. He needs games. He needs minutes. He needs to, find successes and failures throughout his, games and experiences on the field. But I do think that he has a very bright future. What I will say is you have to understand, and this is I think this is the one part that I would say that people need to maybe drop their expectations slightly on not only David Martinez, but Denny Bouanga. What are these guys exceptionally good at when the ball's at their feet? They're good at dribbling. They're powerful. They're fast. Denny Bouanga has an excellent shot as well. What do they lack slightly? Their ability to find the pass at the right moment, right? And so I think that that's just part of their game. Maybe I don't know about Denny Bouanga, he's an older player. Maybe David Martinez is a guy that can still develop that aspect of his game. But I think even in the goal for Jeremy Bobasi, if I'm the coach and I'm being super critical of Denny Bouanga on that play, that pass to Jeremy Bobasi doesn't lead him away from the defender. He plays him the ball, but now Jeremy Bobasi has to dribble back inside towards the defender and he shoots it in between his legs. Where it's a 2-on-1, you should be able to, either dribble or pass so that you have a 1-on-1 against the goalie at that point. So I just don't think that that's one of his strengths. And honestly, I'll say this for LAFC fans, we should be thankful to some extent of that, because if Denny Bouanga could pass the way that he dribbles and shoots, he'd be playing in one of the top 3 leagues in the world. I mean, that is how dynamic he is. He would be. He'd be playing in the Prem, in Spain, in Italy, and we wouldn't be seeing him every weekend here. So I think to some degree, he is not the perfect player, but he is almost perfect for MLS and for what we get here. So it is what it is. But I do think that David Martinez and Denny Bouanga have that ability. And I thought, again, going back to your question, I know I kind of went in different routes there, Max, but going back to your question, I thought David Martinez had a really good game. And what's missing is just that last bit of objectivity in the final third so he can start getting more goals and more assists.
Inside LAFC podcast live on LAFC YouTube and Facebook. Some comments coming through here after the Martinez conversation. Juice loves it. 100 he gives you. Cassandra says Martinez looked volatile while playing with the yellow card. Not sure he contains his emotions well. I think that's part of being a young player. Igor Jesus had a yellow too, and I was a little worried for a moment, but he contained it because remember he had that red card against San Diego. Craig, Martinez doing great. No one is going to be the standout every game. He has matured and is becoming a top regular player. So this is what I wanted to tell you. Craig led me into this. Diversifying the attack. It was great that you get Ordaz and Abobasi. And Abobasi had some meat on that bone for that second because Bouanga's pass was not great, but Bouanga looked for it. This continues. If, Giroud is able to add a wrinkle, Under is able to add another wrinkle, if Ordaz can play out wide and allow one of those number 9s to come in, how does that affect the team, or how does that affect opponents defensively? If they're preparing for LAFC and they know, okay, Bouanga's the only guy scoring, and now it's other guys are scoring. How does if you were coaching a team and you said, look, we can't focus too much on Bouanga because of this development, if it continues, if different guys score, is LAFC harder to prepare for?
From a defensive perspective, it is very difficult to prepare for LAFC. If I'm coaching against LAFC, I'm being more generic as opposed to talking about individuals. Obviously, you have to touch on Denny Bouanga because he's one-on-one. You're screwed. You're done. If he gets you one-on-one, you're in a bad spot. But now with all these different pieces like you're talking about, and to me, it always goes back to Nathan Ordaz more so than anybody else, because his movement is going to affect any game plan, right? You can't say, well, forget about Nathan Ordaz and let's just make sure we contain the wingers. Well, then you're going to get a run by Nathan Ordaz that leads to the first goal or other opportunities. And so you do have to, from a generic standpoint, limit space against LAFC. That's one of the things that I think LAFC have a difficult time in creating is chances when other teams have bodies behind the ball. And so you saw, both goals, obviously the second one is 100% a counterattack that leads to a chance from defense to the ball in the back of the net within 5 to 10 seconds. And the first one is a high pressing Houston team trying to turn the ball over. One pass kind of breaks more than one line, probably 2 lines at that point. And now they're off and running as well through possession, but in some sort of sense looked like a counterattack as well. So, that's one thing that we'll probably see a lot of teams kind of sitting back, especially at home. And we're still going to have to see how we can create chances in that way. Is it by, keeping possession in your defensive half and forcing other teams out? Can you potentially play that cat and mouse game? Or like I said, even in that first goal, can you get some more overlapping movement from the outside backs to create those 2-on-1s on the wing and then service into the box where you should have in that moment a lot of players in and around the box. So, but yeah, it's very difficult to deal with LAFC right now with all the attacking options that we have.
Let's talk about the team passing. And we mentioned the Ordaz goal, 19 passes, 92 percentile passing overall, which is really good. I mean, most teams average in the 80s. So you had that. Sergi Palencia leads the team in touches. Aaron Long leads the team in completed passes. We saw a great pass from Eddie Segura. We saw that great ball from Timothy Tillman. We saw a lot. When you look at this team passing and what they want to do big picture, how important is it? How good are they going to be when they pass the ball like that? And are we seeing a change here where they were such a transition team? And in the last 3 games, the possession has been up. I think they've had more possession than every team up till now. Granted, they've chased the game against Portland. But it does feel like this ball on foot is all the rage right now, at least the last couple games.
Well, I think that LAFC have tried to balance their attack a little bit more. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I would be shocked if we had a sit-down conversation with Steve and his staff that they wouldn't say that was one of the things that they've been working, obviously, with these longer weeks of training, right? The ability to turn possession into creative chances. What I would say about the passing, right? And you go back to that first goal. It's one thing to have high number of completed passes, percentage of completed passes when you aren't being pressed, right? When you're just going from right side to left side through the center back, etc. Anybody can do that at this level. But what they were able to do on that play, on that sequence, was they drew Houston towards them, right? And they were on that kind of left side of their back line when Houston really started to press. And they were able to complete some difficult passes in short little areas, small, short passes, 5, 6, 7, 8-yard passes, and then find the right moment with Eddie Segura to get rid of that ball and basically break out 5, 6 guys from Houston Dynamo's press into Timothy Tillman. And so that is not easy, right? It's a completely different scenario from the one that I described of right side, left side, center back, defensive midfielder, whatnot, because you're bringing the pressure towards you and feeling comfortable in that area of the field, where if you lose the ball, you might get a chance, not only, a really good chance, you might get scored on if you lose the ball in that area of the field. So the ability to have that confidence and the talent, right, to be able to play out of that position, that leads to those big moments. And look, I've seen many teams get into those areas of the field. And now the timing of the Timothy Tillman pass to David Martinez, I'm saying that right. David Martinez played the one to Sergi Palencia, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay.
He cut in and pushed it out.
Correct. And that pass is often, misplayed. Maybe it's too far or it's too short, where now it allows the one defender, kind of what we described with the second goal, but allows the defender to not only take care of David Martinez, but also then move over to Sergi Palencia. That wasn't the case. And Sergi Palencia played an inch perfect ball to Nathan Ordaz in front of the defenders. And so that is where the passing numbers become extremely important. It's those difficult passes that allow a team to break and then ultimately score and get a chance, because those are the passes that normally it's like 50-50. And if we're hitting at 75-80% on those type of passes, we're going to start creating a lot of chances.
How about that analysis, folks? Benny Feilhaber breaking down the passing game. A man who never saw a pass he didn't like. Short, long, flat, back, you name it. Inside LAFC podcast, live on LAFC YouTube and LAFC Facebook. Get your comments and questions in as we put a bow on this Houston game and look forward towards some of the things on the horizon. Very exciting start to the month of May. Shant on Facebook, can you talk about Giroud and why we're not seeing him play more often? We did get the flurry of games. He did look better. And I don't want to say this is a Giroud thing. It's just, it has to be Nate is just a better fit with what they're doing. And the proof is in the pudding, the way they've played. Jeremy Abobasi training very well. First guy off the bench. Giroud, I think, still has a role to play, but they're going to have to be creative. And I think that's all it is. It's just Nate fitting better with Bouanga, because with Giroud's role, it really falls down to the other guys. When you see Giroud in training, he makes the runs. He's available. It's just guys being able to find him, and they haven't quite figured that out.
Yeah. Well, look, I think this is before we throw a bow on this game. I wanted to bring up one point that I was actually, as I'm watching this game, I was disappointed. It was the one thing that I was disappointed with in the second half, and it was extremely timely because the goal came immediately as I thought about this. And so the ability for LAFC, which we've talked about, the bread and butter of this team, is the counterattacking, right? Is the ability to take advantage of space and behind. Houston had a decent amount of possession in LAFC's half in the second half, and LAFC weren't quite clinical enough in certain moments to, when they won the ball, completing a couple of passes, finding the right outlets, and then breaking. And we didn't see that nearly enough. And as soon as I had that thought where I was, man, this is the moment where they should need to get the second goal. They need to have a little bit more patience when they win the ball and try and connect. And guys need to, I always told this to my team when I coached, was the moment of defending doesn't end when you win the ball. It ends when you break the pressure from the other team after you've won the ball. That's when the defensive part is over, right? And so LAFC weren't able to kind of continue those movements where you need to put yourself in the right pockets, complete the right passes, mentally still be engaged, because it is exhausting to defend. But then as soon as I thought that, there was that break, and ultimately that break was pretty simple. It was one pass from Timothy Tillman into Denny Bouanga, and then it was a 2-on-1 just based on speed. But that's one thing that I think LAFC need to make sure that they work on, the ability to break out of, that lower block and create those chances in the counterattacking moments of the game.
It also reminded me in the first half how often LAFC turned Houston over and then had a breakaway and then just kind of misstepped it and didn't put that away. I saw someone in the comment section mention they should have had more goals. They should have. 18 shots, 10 shots on goal. LAFC is flying up the offensive category. They're up there with XG. This has been there all season. The XG was good. They're still leaving a lot of goals on the table, and I would like to think that they'll get there, but this was a step in the right direction. Benny is on fire today. Benny for a coaching job next season. Look at this. You got your agents in here. They got
Is Jose Reyes the GM of some team somewhere?
Des Moines Menace. No, I'm just kidding. I saw Bobazy doing special drills during halftime when the rest of the team was in the locker room. I mean, Jeremy is like a locked in, and I think you saw that with this performance, and we saw some of it against St. Louis, which was good from him as well. Leave more comments and questions. I did want to talk about the defensive detail because this was masterpiece. As you said, one chance, really. No shots on target.
Half a chance. I'd say that's a half a chance at best, Max.
I mean, Hugo Lloris had to punch away a couple corners or so, but that was, I'm sure he's like, hey, man, I need to get a sweat going.
No, I think he'll take those games more often.
This was LAFC were leaky. I mean, 2 goals to St. Louis. I think it was 2 goals on 2 shots, 3 goals against Portland. They needed to show that their defense, which was so good earlier in the season, can be that good again. And I
was about to make a joke there, Max. Better than 1 goal on 0 shots, but we'll leave it for the LAFC fans to decipher that.
The team gets 0 shots. You're not supposed to drop points to them. So LAFC did not. Some moving pieces with Aaron coming out, Marlon coming in late, had to scurry in there last minute, so he wasn't quite ready. Eddie gets the start. Maxime Chanot's not ready to go yet. And Kosi Tafari also in the mix, but they have a lot of bodies and they got to find the right combinations. It's going to be Aaron Long and whoever else, but it's a team effort. It's Ordaz helping out. It's Martinez Plup knocking some balls away, and that midfield just trapping Houston time and time again.
Well, the personnel is always going to be there, right? I mean, there is so many quality players that can play in the defensive back line, even in the midfield, there's pieces there that can do the job. But I thought the thing that I was really impressed with was, and this is a coaching point, I'm 99% certain it's a coaching point, where the players were so aggressive when balls came into certain areas of the field. And so it wasn't like we were high pressing the center backs and whatnot, but when the ball came through in between the lines into a 6 or an 8 or 10 or a winger or whatever, it was immediate pressure from back and front, right? They were squeezing, clamping down on whoever was receiving the ball in those pockets. And so you saw, if you pause the game at any point in time and you see Igor Jesus from a defensive posture, it looked like he was ready to start racing. He's like in this crouching position and kind of ready, like, where's the ball going to go? Where am I going to, and it was impressive to see. And that was everybody on the field. So it lends me to believe that, Steve really touched on that. And that's probably one of the main reasons why he was so ecstatic after the game, because you saw that come through on every player was performing at a very high level from a defensive standpoint. And so, if they can keep that kind of tenacity up and that type of focus and concentration, it's going to be tough to break them down.
And this is a result of a full week of training and 3 weeks of being able to train that way, where they're so dialed in, where you see them like crouching and going. I saw a little bit of that at Igor Jesus. So I'm going to keep a closer eye in that next game. Before we wrap up the game here, get your comments in. Jose, I love how Igor Jesus is playing this season. He looks ready to do his defensive duties. He's 22 years of age, so this is a guy that can really grow here. And I'm sure
he's an animal, man. He's a pit bull.
Clubs are going to be like, and then you do what you do. I mean, that's going to be a lot of these LAFC players before too long. Ollie, did you see what Ollie did?
Our Falcon?
Our Falcon.
No, I didn't. I can't see it in pregame.
Okay,
this happens only if you're in the stadium.
Ollie did a circle and then missed the target and did a beeline and flew into the field club.
No, he didn't. And this wasn't.
It's a she, by the way. Ollie's a girl.
She did this not planned.
Unplanned. So they went in there, and Jason, the handler, found her. And then Brooklyn, who does the stadium ops, went, you know what we need to do? They got to, and I told her, we were texting back before, she goes, I go, Ollie just wanted one of those frosty cold beers that they serve there, those beverages in there. And they said they should make a drink after Ollie. And I call it the Ollie Adventure. But we love Ollie. We're happy she's safe. And Roberto, she did.
We're happy. We're happy everybody else is safe.
Ollie wouldn't hurt anybody. If you were in the field club, let me know. And if you got to see that up close. Ollie is the best. We'll see. Questions about Vela. We'll stay tuned. We'll see. There's still a lot of communications there. Really good stuff. So Ollie making the day exciting at the beginning of the game, then LAFC bringing it home. Let us thank you, Sir Crispy. Is it a coincidence that one of our best games was also called by the one and only Max Bretos? I also called
Sir Crispy he must have missed the first couple minutes of the show.
I'm 2 wins out of 2 for LAFC this year. May's grueling schedule. It is coming fast. So Sunday, LAFC, stamp your passports. They are going to face Vancouver. This is going to be Sunday Night Soccer. This is a game that fell into MLS's lap. If you're a neutral, tune into this. It's going to be phenomenal. I do want to say there's a Wednesday game the following week. It's going to be at BMO Stadium. LAFC and the Sounders. Sounders are playing well. They put 4 goals on St. Louis this weekend. And then the next Sunday, May 18th, at Dignity Health Sports Park, it's the winless Galaxy. Do you want to give me that Galaxy stat?
El Trafico. Yeah, I mean, look, LA, I watched the game that they played this weekend against my Sporting Kansas City, and SKC won 1-0 on 0 shots. It's never happened before in MLS history. A team win in 90 minutes on a game that they never shot the ball. And not a shot on target, just any shot whatsoever. And I've heard through Twitter, and this is unverified, but I've heard that this has never happened at any first division level game where a team has won a game without shooting the ball. And so that's interesting. Having said that, all LAFC fans, yes, there's always the rivalry between Galaxy fans and LAFC fans. El Trafico, nothing matters when El Trafico comes. It doesn't matter who the best team is. It doesn't matter who the worst team is. It doesn't matter where everybody is in the standings. It doesn't matter how early or how late it is in the season. It has its own life. So let's be ready for that one.
Yeah, I personally would like the Galaxy to get a win, so that's not hanging over this game, so that they don't want to wreck it, because they've done that.
You got to make sure you say those words correctly. You want them to get a win prior to that game, is what you
prior. Yes. Okay. A lot of people, Sebastian, Dat one sit busting out the broom emojis. They'll get going. This is going to be good. We'll talk about that next week. But I did want to talk a little bit about Vancouver. This is an unexpected delight. Massive matchup against a team that has been phenomenal. Everyone's playing well. I don't think a lot of people are expecting LAFC to go in there and get a win. But how do you look at that matchup? And what can LAFC get out of this experience? This could have been in the CONCACAF Champions Cup semis. And to be honest, if LAFC got by Miami, I think they wouldn't have got by Vancouver the way they're playing. But LAFC are playing better now. I like their chances on Sunday. If they can win, LAFC can really, they're in 5th place now, a win, and they could find themselves in 2nd in the West like that. Easier said than done, but possible.
A win would catapult them in terms of confidence as well, right? Because you can see this kind of steady incline of performances and results, and kind of the balance between the attack and the defense that we're talking about. You go up against, to me, it's the best team in the league right now is Vancouver, and it's not really close either. Yeah. They've been fantastic every single game. They've been consistent. So not going over there, getting a performance and getting a result would be amazing. But I'm not really too worried about LAFC right now in Vancouver. I am so excited to watch the game, Max, because to me, the game between the 6 midfielders is going to be fascinating to watch. It's arguably the 2 best midfielders or midfields in the league, with Igor Jesus, Timothy Tillman, Mark Delgado versus Sebastian Berhalter, Andre Kubas, and your boy Pedro Vite. And so those 6 guys are going to be going at it, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
Make sure you tune in. MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. I saw someone mention they wish they had Tristan Blackman. We're thrilled about Tristan, about what he's been able to accomplish, but the trade was at the right time, and LAFC got what they needed to get. But Tristan, we wish him all the best. Former teammate of yours.
Yeah, rookie that year. So
That's
good
right.
luck, Tristan
Any
Blackburn.
hazing?
Well, not good luck this weekend, but good luck June 1st. We hope they bring it home for MLS.
There it is, Blackman. Well, there you go. We'll do this again next Monday. As a reminder, every Monday, 12:30, LAFC YouTube and LAFC Facebook, Inside LAFC podcast. We invite you to leave your comments, like and subscribe. It helps us get the word out on this. So hit all the buttons, like, subscribe. And LAFC Encore, you can see the Houston game tomorrow, 5:30 on Fox 11 Plus, aka Channel 13. I believe that it's going to be another thing about the CCCL. We have former LAFC players going head to head. It shows how much the club has grown, and we'll see how the schedule fills out. We'll see how the schedule.
Well, they're talking about Matty Bogusz, right? That's what I'm assuming.
Yes, correct. And we had Brian Rodriguez in there on the other side of the semifinal. So we'll leave it at that. Benny, great to chat with you, man. We'll do it again next Monday. Good stuff.
Thanks, Max.
And thanks to everyone who joined us. We'll be back again this time next week. We'll see you then for Inside LAFC podcast. Have a great day.